I don't think this is maybe, I don't know, a little bit ago it would have been more controversial, but I don't think this is controversial at all. I think the people that see the world for what it is, not for what they want it to be, can easily acknowledge that there's a lot of people that are in positions and have like utterly just flipped our culture just upside down, that are people that were deranged, and I mean that seriously. I'm not speaking like in hyperbolic terms. These are people that probably have undiagnosed mental issues, but also instead of rejecting it like it should have been, to the point to where it didn't manifest, it didn't grow, it wasn't able to like spread and have people adopt. There was a missed opportunity there, and a lot of us played kind of way too lax on this sort of issue. And by us, I'm not speaking about me individually. I'm speaking like kind of as a whole, as a culture. Now, of course, as a libertarian, I am not speaking about like the state being utilized or something crazy like that. I always have to mention that because there's going to be some dickhead in the comment that thinks that that's what I'm referring to. Also, there's going to be those stupid people who think that libertarianism is hedonism, or libertinism, essentially believing that I can't speak against anything that anybody does because they have the right, but they're too retarded to understand that in having such a right, I have the right to criticize. Everybody does. And that's what should have been happening. You see, a lot with this gender stuff, for example, it just got like crazier and crazier and crazier, and it went to show like how nutty. My bad. I just kind of turned my PC on, so all these notifications and stuff are about to go off. Let me, in fact, just mute that. But what happened was it just got ridiculous. You know, it started out with a gender or two that was out of the norm, and then it just got more and more ridiculous. Newer and newer things started to get added, and I think what happened with that was that it became an issue, and instead of acknowledging and addressing that issue, we said, you know what, okay, just let them do whatever it is that they're gonna do. Who cares? They'll never have any power. They're just being ridiculous. And then what they were able to do is use some of the foundation upon which definitely in America and the country had among these concepts of like equality, which are mythical concepts, but they are, believe it or not, definitely post civil rights era. They are something that people act as if it has to be associated with America and America's culture. So you added these weirdos who weren't really they were already encompassed, let's say that. However, they kind of separated themselves with this new kind of weird whatever thing that they're into. And then they said, well, now this weird thing, you need to include me in y'all's affairs. And if you don't, then there's something wrong with you. You are a bigot. You are whatever. And of course, social justice is the easiest kind of concept and movement to back that, because it's a movement that is centered around something that doesn't exist. Social justice, there's no such thing as actually social justice. There's only justice. But when you add the social part to it, what you are allowed to do is to then make it these concepts of justice about things that can move, right? It's an ever moving goalpost. It's like whatever is the flavor of the month or whatever is the flavor of the week, for that matter, is now a social justice effort and something that is worth sort of striving for. So you can find some group and you can pretend that they're marginalized, remember, because you just created it out of thin air. Half people don't even know what the hell it is, but you can claim that you're marginalized. Oh, wait. Hey, company. Hey, business. Hey, entertainment sector. You're not including me in your affairs, or you're not catering to me. This marginalized group that we just up and created, and we're being oppressed, and therefore you must change your ways in order to really take care of us. And social justice, remember, allows them to do that. So what should have happened is when these guys started to come into prominence, we should have said, nah, you're an idiot. And when they called us all of these names that they were going to call us simply because you just refused to participate in their world that they've kind of formulated in their head that doesn't, again, exist. It's a world that they want to exist and a world that they need to exist that they're substituting for reality. Instead of doing what most people did and was like, yeah, whatever, you underestimated them. We should have just been like, you are stupid. And, you're going to have to go over there and sit to the side. We're not going to do this. Because we didn't. Well, we got the world that we're in today. And it keeps getting more ridiculous. Doesn't it seem that way? Even as, you get the idea that this stuff is being rejected, it still gets more and more ridiculous. Like this new. And that's, again, it's not just the gender stuff. That's the easiest thing to acknowledge. But if you look at those types of people, they're the same types of people. Pronouns in the bio are, of course, included. It'll be like BLM, some other sort of BIPOC bull crap or various things to try to present themselves as either that or as an ally, as they like to say. So they have some pride flag or something that's always associated with it. And if you really want to go full non-playable character, what you do is you add that Ukrainian flag for whatever reason. And now they got power. You hire them. That was a mistake. You hire them in your businesses. They get in your HR departments who have spun off and created new departments that are fake jobs, equity, diversity, and inclusion departments. And now you basically are being held hostage in your own business. Or your entire culture, subculture, fandom, whatever it is in the entertainment space that you're involved in is being held hostage by these weirdos who are basically saying, stick it up, hands in the air. We come for everything that it is you got, and you must make it about me. See, when these people scream, and this is, again, a lot of it comes from, I don't think it was purposeful. I guess what I mean is it wasn't done purposefully, meaning that this wasn't something that they thought was going to happen, but it was going to happen, and it was the result nonetheless. For example, when, I brought this up many times before, so I'll be repeating myself here. When you get claimed to be a transphobe, homophobe, or you hate women or something of that nature, which is just nonsense, a lot of people's first instinct, because they do find those things as abhorrent, as they well should, you get on the defense. See, that defense in itself gave them power enough. Because they knew they can claim they can call you whatever it is you want. And instead of rejecting their premise in its entirety, which was what should have happened, instead of rejecting their premise, you said, oh, wait a minute, I'm not this and that. And I will go out of my way and bend over backwards to try to prove that I'm not this and that, even though they don't really care. They just want to whip you into shape. They don't really care if you atone for your sins. Honestly, they'll demand that you do, but that's really not what this is about. You got to remember, they're about their end game. And their end game is to advance to whatever social political views that they have. And you are a means to an end. Your business is a means to an end. And that's how this works. But what we should have did when they started that stuff, when it started to kind of percolate, we should have said, nah, bro, y'all stupid as hell. I'm not having this conversation with you continuously. I'm rejecting the premise in its entirety. And you're going to have to go sit over there. And we're not giving you no power or anything. We're not letting that stuff manifest. And then when you're dealing with those types, they'd have moved on to the next thing. They would have got over that. They would have screeched and screamed for a little bit, but then they would have got over that. But especially in entertainment, because I think the entertainment stuff is what allowed it to manifest in other places, because that's the stuff that's being shown all the time. People's trying to shut off their minds. They're being, basically these seeds are being sort of planted when they go watch a TV show, when they go see a commercial, when they go see all of these, movies or whatever it was. And those stars are then being utilized to prop up whatever mental illness it is that these guys uphold, be it economically, socially, or whatever it is. Yes, socialism is a mental illness, or advocating for it certainly is a mental illness as well. You got problems. But that's where, for sure, it was able to spread. And instead of it being knocked down, a lot of us was like, well, it's just this. I'm going to continue to consume. We'll continue to give these guys powers. And that's where we messed up. But this isn't a black pill. This is just to understand the game plan. You can't build out a solution unless you understand how we got to this point. And how can you prevent it from happening again? Or getting worse, for that matter. It may get a little worse before it gets better. But once that pendulum swings back, people need to understand what happened and not dare make the mistake again, because you saw how fast that had happened. Like, it was not that long ago where we had some sort of normalcy in entertainment where we could argue about, whatever, but it wasn't like to what did we argue about to this degree. And that happened relatively quickly. You know what I mean? You're talking about, it really started to amplify 2015-ish. That was not that long ago. So it can get better, but it's going to require you to understand the game plan. That's for sure.
You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Cannon's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. Be sure to check out my website, ericdjuly.com, so you can stay up to date with everything it is that I'm doing. You can also become a member and get access to a bunch of cool perks and exclusive content, which includes a social media hub where you can interact with myself and other members. It even has an app that you can get, which is now live in the Google and Apple stores.